Okay, this is another knee-jerk reaction video review. I do review movies right after I watch them, so I don't have time to think about it. I don't analyze it. I don't read stuff about it. So it's a quick review. Also, I do talk about the movie, so if you're not into spoilers, if you don't want to know what happens, if you want to be totally in suspense, don't watch this because I will. There's some things that I'll touch on that are in the movie. I'm not going to like major spoil anything. I try not to, but I will talk about things in the movie. But this movie I watched was 10 Cloverfield Lane, and seeing advertisements for this movie, they advertised it as a thriller, but everyone kind of knew it was an extension of the Cloverfield universe, which I guess is a new thing. There's only one movie so far, well, two now, but they call it the Clover. This is a sequel to Cloverfield. Not really a sequel. But I guess they want to make more Cloverfield movies based on what's going on with the aliens. But every preview I saw was like, this is a thriller. And first of all, the first Cloverfield movie was shaky cam, they call it found video footage, like the Blair Witch Project. So, I mean, it's a completely different style. This is actually a movie, it's not found footage, it's actually a movie. So the styles are completely different. It has nothing to do with the first movie. Having said that, you're going to scratch your head and go, what the hell's going on here? And even though I saw the first movie, I was still doing that because this movie doesn't know what it wants to be. But I'll get into that in a minute. First of all, I want to touch on Cloverfield. Cloverfield, shaky cam, found footage. I didn't care for... There was a major writing flaw in this movie. So the guy's recording a video, and every time he paused and stopped it, what he's recording over would play for like a minute, 2 minutes. I just wanted to shake the writer and go, camcorders don't work that way. If you pause a movie, and then you start recording again, it's going to pick up where it left off. It's not going to play 30 feet of film, videotape. It's not going to do that. So, I mean, it's just that took me out of like, oh God, this doesn't work this way. The second thing is at the end of the movie, it's a monster movie, and then the little spaces in between where shouldn't be, where like this guy's romantic interlude with the woman he's trying to save. And at the end of it, they finally finish the film. They're in Central Park, and a bomb goes off, and they die. I just spoiled the idea, but then it cuts to like the last part of what they're recording over, and they were on, I can't remember if it was a Ferris wheel or something, but they're on a beach. And in the background, you can see like a fireball fall into the ocean, and then there's like a puff, an explosion. They don't notice it because he's recording her, and they're all lovey-dovey, but this happens in the background. And I've been told time and time again, I'm crazy for knowing that. Now, or I'm crazy for thinking I saw that, because they're like, oh no, that wasn't in the theatrical release, that was in the video release. I'm like, no, I saw it. I only saw it once, and it was in the theaters, and that was in there. And how could I even know it was in there if I never saw any other version of it? And the other thing is, there was a forum. It wasn't Reddit. It was some other forum, but someone actually got like a bootleg copy, because like when a movie comes out, people will record it in the theater. And from this bootleg copy, they show the fireball, because people were debating, no, the fireball was there, no, it wasn't, yes, it was, no, it wasn't. And this guy actually had a picture from inside the theater of the fireball, and he's like, yes, it was. I'm like, yeah, finally, It's just like Star Wars. When I first saw Star Wars, that first crawl, now I saw Star Wars in the theater back in 79. I was, little kid. I was with my mom and my best friend. And when the crawl comes up, it says episode 4. And everyone in the theater started murmuring. You can say, episode 4? We're having a 1 through 3. Why is it starting at 4? Is it some kind of weird thing? And I remember my mom nudging me going, why is it starting at episode 4? I'm like, Mom, I don't know. And coming out of the theater, we were discussing, I could hear people around me discussing it. Like, why was it episode 4? And people tell me I'm crazy that episode 4 wasn't in the theaters. It started with just the crawl. And I'm like, no, it had episode 4 on it. So anyway, I digress, but those things really happened. And people who say, oh, no, that wasn't in the theatrical release. Yes, it was. I will tell you to your face it was. I saw it. Anyway, this movie uh, has Tom Goodman as, I don't know if I can call him the bad guy, because he owns a an underground bunker. Um, the Mary Elizabeth character, and I can't remember characters' names, but she, they start out, I don't know if they were trying to get you to have sympathy for her, but she leaves her boyfriend. She's driving through the countryside, and her car gets run off the road. She blacks out. She wakes up chained to a wall in a big cement room. And the John Goodman character, and this part of the writing I thought was kind of good. The build up, the tension. Was he good? Was he bad? Was he lying? Was he telling the truth? But he eventually comes in, lets her go, lets her walk around the bunker, and he's telling her that the world has basically ended. Something has poisoned the atmosphere. He didn't know if it was Russians or aliens. People are outside dying, but he's in this bunker. He's got recycled air, so they're safe, and that's why she's there. He saw her on the side of the road unconscious, and he brought her in. So she finally gets unchained. She comes out. She finds out there's someone else in the bunker. Now, she's, as a thriller, they don't tell you what's truth and not. You got to kind of figure that out for yourself. And, they talk about how people had their skin burned off and stuff. And, the guy's like, I didn't see any of that, but I saw the flashes of light and I knew something was going on, so I came to the bunker. So she kind of has a little bit of corroboration of the story. But she's still, because there's a window. You can go up these stairs and look out the window. And it looks perfectly normal. There's a cornfield and some trees and cars. And, it's a regular farmyard. And she can't see anything. Oh, there's pigs. That's right. He was showing her the pigs. And the pigs were dead in the pen. And, of course, there's flies buzzing. But she couldn't really tell why the pigs were dead. And could have been he killed them just to reiterate that the air was poison. So, time passes and you're wondering. He shows a picture of him with a little girl, and he says that's his daughter. And the other guy was like, no, that's not his daughter. She shows him the picture later. He's like, that's not his daughter. That's a girl who went missing years ago. So now you're wondering, oh, who is this guy? And they never. And I know it's frustrating. It could have been on purpose for the writers, but they never touched on that again. Like, did he kidnap this woman or this girl, or is the guy wrong that it wasn't his daughter? They never touched on that again. It was just another thing to make you suspicious of the John Goodman character. And let me say something about John Goodman. I always felt that comedians, especially like, I don't know if you ever saw a 1 hour photo, but Robin Williams, Robin Williams is known to be this manic comedian. He's always laughing. He's always making you laugh. But in this movie, he plays a stalker. And I mean, it was creepy. And at the end of the movie, your skin is just looking at him, your skin crawls like, oh, this guy is evil. And I always felt that a comedian are the best people to play an evil character. I saw Jerry Lewis play a very serious character once, and it was chilling. And even, what's his name? God, I can't think of his name. Jim Carrey. Jim Carrey plays some serious characters, and when you watch him play a serious character, you're like, God, he's so good at that. And these are people known for being these manic comedians, and now they're in these serious roles, and it's like they're so good at it, and it's such a contrast. But anyway, John Goodman, and he makes your skin crawl. He's very calm and stuff, and lets the characters in on things, and it's just it's very good acting and writing at that point. Some of the things that took me out of the video was, he claimed that they're going to be in there for a year, maybe 2 years. Now, granted, he made this bunker for one person, and now there's 3 people in it. So you're looking at the food stores, and you're thinking that doesn't look like enough for one person for 1 year. And he's got 3 people for 1 to 2 years, and they're not rationing any food. I mean, they were actually like scraping plates, and I'm like, God, if they think they're going to be in there, they would be conserving their food and eating very light and not making these big elaborate dinner with rolls and condiments and sides and stuff. It just didn't seem realistic. The other thing that didn't seem realistic is he built this bunker He's got the store of foods and then like a living area, and then this great big empty brick room with no explanation for it. And that's the room she was chained up in. And it's like, why did he have this bunker, but he didn't utilize the space? That space should have been utilized. If you're a survivalist, that's where you're going to put your guns and your whatever. But it was just an empty room. And so those 2 points, I made, I was just like, oh, I wrestle with maybe he was unprepared, okay. But it's one of those things. I'm nitpicking. I know I'm nitpicking, but it's one of those things that I notice, and if I notice it, I'm sure other people have noticed it. But it just didn't seem realistic that they were just eating food and not finishing their plates, and they're locked in this bunker for 2 years. So anyway, a woman does show up, pounds on the door. Her skin is all burned and big sores and stuff on it, and they don't let her in, and she disappears. They find her later in the film. But this whole thing is a thriller. And then there's a murder, and there's only 3 people in there, so you can probably guess who got murdered. But then she's a dress designer, so she makes she finds this book on survival, and she makes a homemade gas mask, and she makes a hazmat suit out of a shower curtain, and her plan was to leave the bunker. So there's a big dramatic scene, and she ends up outside, and this is the end of the movie. You're thinking, oh, she got out, but it's not. It's a Cloverfield movie, and you probably forgot it was a Cloverfield movie, other than the air is poison. But she goes outside, she sees birds flying around, and so she takes her mask off, and she's like, oh, this air is fine. But then she sees something flying towards her, and it's obviously an alien spaceship. And she's like, oh my God. And it's attracted, there's the car alarm goes off in the bunker, because when she escaped, she spilled some chemicals and they blow up. So there's all this commotion that attracted this alien ship to come over to investigate. There's a little battle. She sees the ship release gas on the house, and she realizes that people probably really did get gas, and she puts her gas mask back on. She does defeat the monster and get away. And this is another thing I thought of. This commotion, the car alarm and the explosion naturally, but this commotion brought an alien ship over to investigate. But by the time she leaves, it's dark out, it's nighttime, and she's like making her getaway in a car with the lights on. And I thought, I've been in airplanes, I love to fly, and at night if you look down, you're at 30,000 feet or whatever, you can actually see the car lights on the road. You might not even see the car, but you can see the little car light. They turn a corner, and you can see how the lights go around. It's really cool. And I'm thinking, excuse me, I'm thinking, what better way to attract yourself, to draw attention to yourself than driving at night with your lights on? She finally gets a radio to work, and the radio finally collaborates the whole story. Well, she saw the aliens attack a house, and she fought an alien. There's tentacles. There's little aliens that run around on the ground. So now it's an alien film. And she's driving away, and they're like, okay. On the radio, they say this city is safe, but this city, I think it was Houston, is still under attack. If you're a medical professional or if you're a military person, please come to the city and help us. Otherwise, this other city's safe. And she gets to this, literally a crossroad, metaphor crossroad. And instead of going to the safe city, she turns and heads to the city that needs help. And nothing in the movie would make you think, are they trying to make her like a badass at the end? Because, when she made her escape, it wasn't that, it was just kind of a desperate woman escaping. And when she fought the alien, she just kind of, lucked her way out of it. But, to sit there and think, okay, I'm going to go into danger, what were they telling us about that? Nothing about the character made you think that, oh yeah, she's going to turn into Sarah Connor, and be all badass now and go fight the aliens. No, I can't picture that. She should have run for her life. She just spent days in a bunker with a creepy guy she didn't know if he was trying to kill her or not. So, and that whole alien part of the movie was like the last couple of minutes. So you got this long, drawn out thriller, and then aliens. And it's like, oh, here's a movie everyone's seen Raiders of the Lost Ark. So at the end of the movie, that's total action all the way through the movie. And at the very end, there's a scene in Washington, D.C., where he's trying to demand to know what happened to the Ark, and he walks out. And then there's a little scene on the stairs, and the movie ends. So that was kind of the epilogue to the movie. So imagine if he came out of there all pissed off, and then they took another 10 minutes, and instead of an action movie, had it like, I don't know, he accidentally took a pop brownie and got high and went to find a hamburger. Nothing to do with the action part of the movie, nothing to do with the plot of the whole movie, just like a second little movie that lasts 5 or 10 minutes that has nothing to do with it. And that's what this movie did. And I'm like, why bother? Why did they bother making this thriller and then cram a little bit of alien action at the end of it and then call it part of the Cloverfield universe? Because it doesn't really add anything to the Cloverfield universe other than we know the world's under attack. It didn't make any sense. So just like the first movie, there's just a few nitpicks. Camcorders do not work that way. I thought the first movie was pretty good other than that. Found footage movies, shaky cam movies, everybody hates shaky cam. I don't know why they keep doing it. But, really shaky cam. But kind of a good story, good survival story. He wants to find his girlfriend. He's losing friends along the way. Friends are dying. They're getting eaten and heads exploding. He finally finds her in this totally unrealistic position. I thought when they lifted her off of that thing, and there's no way she's going to go on an adventure after being impaled. Same thing happened in Starship Troopers, where the bug stabs the woman through her abdomen, like through her chest, and afterwards she's out walking with her friends going, okay, let's go get some medical attention. Like, this is totally unreal. And so when they lifted her off of that and she ends up going to the park with them, no, I hate it when they underplay wounds like that. Other than that, the basic plot of the monster, and I understand why they had the little 1 or 2 minute interludes where they showed the romantic parts that they were recording over, because at the end the fireball was there. So they had to do that. It was just the way they told the story, but that kind of took me out of it. This movie was the same way. The thriller part was good. They could have made a thriller, and from what I'm told, I read this somewhere. I'm trying to think where I read this, but it was like a movie written for something else, and the Cloverfield people got it and made it into a Cloverfield movie. And I've heard of that happening. I think some of the Die Hard movies were written for somebody else, but they were like, oh no, let's make this a Die Hard movie. So that does happen. But still, you're in this thriller, and it could have gone one way, but then boom, she's fighting aliens. It's just like, Anyway, what do I give it? I don't know. I'd say maybe 2 stars out of 5, maybe 3. I will say they did not skimp on the special effects. The aliens, the UFOs were really good. There was no really special effects inside the bunker itself. It was just practical stuff. Some of the questions, maybe your average theater goer wouldn't look at that amount of supplies and think of how many years that would last. Less than 1 for one person, I would think. And, I don't know, just when they were sitting there at this table and they're like not eating, they're pushing their food away, and no, I'm not hungry. I'm thinking that is such a waste when you're in a survival situation. That kind of took me out. But, like I said, 2, maybe 3 stars out of 5. Again, who would you recommend this movie to? You can't recommend it to a sci-fi fan, because the sci-fi part is a couple minutes at the end. You can't really recommend this to a thriller fan, because There's no resolution. A lot of the mysteries that they brought up at the beginning had no resolution. So, I mean, okay, if you just happen to stumble across it and watch it at midnight, that's fine. Play it while you're doing the dishes and doing your housework, that's fine. But who would you recommend this movie to? And that's why I'm only giving it 2 stars. I could not really recommend this as any part of a genre. Maybe if you're a Mary Elizabeth fan, I don't know if there's such thing as a John Goodman fan, but he was really good. He was a good actor in this. So that's kind of my wind up. That you can't really recommend a movie that you don't know. It's kind of, and there's other movies that split genres, but at least you could recommend it to certain friends and maybe not recommend it to other friends. I just can't recommend this movie to anybody. There's just nothing about it that would make me say, hey, go watch this movie. This part is fantastic. So 2 out of 3 or 2 out of 5. Watch it if it's on, but don't go out of your way looking for it. I wouldn't pay money to rent it if you got Netflix. I think, was it Netflix or Hulu? It's on one of the streaming services, so maybe play it when you're doing something else. Anyway, that's my review. It's 10 Cloverfield Lane with John Goodman and Mary Elizabeth Winstead and some guy I don't know. Part of the Cloverfield universe, doesn't make a lot of sense. Doesn't know what it wants to be. And the ending, couldn't figure it out at all. Just like, oh, she wouldn't do that, but she did. So that's my review, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and we'll see you next time. Next time I watch a movie, and I'll run back here and sit down and give you my knee-jerk reaction. Thanks.